But anyway, he wants the URL to be sent in with the write-up. He wants that sent in together by one person. So since I started this, I will have access to the URL, so I will send you the URL.
That'd be awesome.
Does that make sense?
Send it to Meg.
Yeah.
And then I had a question for the write-up. I'm trying to see, do I just talk about the points that we bring up? Like how last time there was a set amount of questions. Are there set questions for this, or?
Isn't it just yeah, I know it's just addressing some of the stuff, I think.
Okay.
I didn't hit the open to see if there was a page that we were supposed to go through because I didn't want to start something and then have it say, "Oh, sorry."
Because it let me just here I'm opening it up and seeing here. Case study will not open until you So where is that in?
Okay.
It just says, it's the simulated family therapy session.
You know what? There, when you open it, all it is just one of those where it says, choose the file to add on, or you could type in the square, but there aren't any actual questions.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So,
yeah, it just has bullet points talking about, like, during the discussion, we just talk about things we noticed and stuff like that. So I think if you just do the general observation stuff, it's fine.
Awesome.
Okay. So do we want to start this with prayer?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, please, right, Teresa? Okay, any volunteers?
I can say it.
Okie dokie.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful tonight to be able to meet together as a group and be able to discuss things that we have learned. And we ask you to please invite the Spirit so that we can learn from each other and learn what Thou would have us know. And we would like to thank Thee for our opportunity to be able to go to school and participate in groups. And we love you very much. We say these things in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay. I'm acting like the big boss again. I really don't need to.
Please do. I don't mind.
I don't know. I think I'm tired of telling everybody what to do today. Been a long one. So, I don't know. Do we want to look at the bullet points and just start, or how do we want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, were you guys able to do all the reading and note taking and watch the video and all of that fun stuff?
There's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I honestly didn't finish the Crucible and Healings one. That was what I was trying to finish tonight.
Well, the Crucible doesn't have anything to do with this, so you're good.
I
know. This was all based on Walsh Chapter 6.
Which really tied in well with the way that he used. I could see where he used the method that's in that. The therapist in that video.
I'm going to have one complaint. Does anybody else have a hard time reading Walsh because of all the grammatical errors and all the typos?
Yes, the typos is just...
I am so frustrated with these typos. It's like I'm trying to read every word to understand it, and it's like, this doesn't make sense. This is dumb. I'm getting so frustrated with that. So I don't know if it was just me.
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, content is good. The typos make it difficult.
Exactly.
Okay, now that I've aired my grievance. Okay. So.
We were gonna.
Who wants to be the boss?
I can. I'll lead us.
Okay.
All right. So let's go with take turns talking about the points you identified, both the overt references and the more subtle ones. So I'm assuming things that were similar between the video and the Walsh.
Mm-hmm. So I've got to get that out.
Yeah. Does everyone have the strengthening family resilience kind of up for them?
I can get that up. I've got that here.
Well, I took notes up to about halfway through it, and then I got so tired last night when I was reading that I stopped taking notes, but I did finish reading it. So I'm going to, I've got 6 points I covered, and then I went, done.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, he used it going down and talking about in comparing the two. He used several. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to go through it. He went through and, for instance, normalizing family distress and relabeling and reframing the relationships. I just felt like he used some of those things. I could see, I didn't realize it until I read through it, how he used some of the principles and key concepts in there. And one was that I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of how it is in this book. It's when adopting future oriented, he refocuses from complaints to aims, instilling hope and optimism. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go through the 40 pages and seeing what I knew I should have wrote it down. He really tried to help each other. It's talking about when the example of when a family member does something and they have a crisis, and the parent was explaining how when they were younger things that happened. It was in Walsh's. It was about, wasn't the Walsh's the one that had to do with the father that was in the Nazi camp?
Yes.
And so the therapist was saying how the son understood more about the father's reactions when he knew more about the story. Or there was the one with the abusive father who had a temper, and once that the children heard that that's what he grew up with, they understood, not to make it right, but understood. I just think this therapy and the therapist in this family therapy session did some similar things, brought up some points that helped each of the family members relate to each other. That's one of the things that stood out to me between Walsh and the family therapy session.
Yeah.
I know, like, I noticed that in doing that, he asked me, well, what was it like with asking the father, what was it like with your father? And he said they weren't involved, and so this is new territory. So he doesn't have something to model his relationship with his son now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, I think it's kind of letting that son know, oh, okay, it's new for all of us. He's not just being
He just doesn't
tyrannical.
not like me, That's what I'm thinking. They think they don't love me anymore, when they're realizing, oh, there's more to it. There's something underneath that.
I have to say that was an interesting thing to watch, having a 17, almost 18-year-old, and going, okay, I think I would be more like the mom, going a little ballistic, but
yeah. I really had to withhold judgment and thinking, like, really, no job? What? I'm sorry, my teenagers all worked. It was hard, but I'm realizing that when you learn their stories and it develops, then I'm a little more empathetic about it and understanding.
yeah, it was. I keep thinking, man, if I ever get in a situation like that, I hope that I can be that kind of open and accepting. And I really noticed how he established a relationship with each person when they came in the room. He got their names. He remembered their names. He asked something personal about each one of them. He did relate things that were personal to him and his family situation.
And what is it called? It's not parroting, but he rephrased. He did a proper communication of rephrasing what they said, so that he could say, okay, I'm hearing you. Are you saying da 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 da? Where they're like, okay, yeah, trying to let them know that he is listening by repeating back in his own words what he thinks they said. I think that helps them feel like can help them feel like they're being heard.
I think that also helped the other family members to understand what was being said. When somebody else says it, then you go, oh, because a lot of times when we hear, when you hear that family member that you're irritated with say something, you're still going to see it through your eyes. But when the therapist can say, this is what he's saying, this is what I'm hearing, then you can kind of look at it differently and go, oh, okay, maybe he isn't saying, what all my biases are believing. There is something more to it. So I think by his rephrasing helps the rest of the family to understand what's being said as well. And I think I'm going to be quiet for a little bit so that, the rest of you can have a chance to say something.
Good. I think it's also that kind of rephrasing helps you make sure that the therapist is hearing exactly what they're trying to say as well. I've done that before with people, and it sometimes you hear it differently the first time, and so that gives them the opportunity to be like, oh no, this is what I meant if I said it, in a weird way or whatever. And so I think that's smart on the therapist side to be able to, kind of check in and make sure, okay, is this what I'm actually understanding your meaning, or is this something that, we need to go over again almost?
Yeah, I like that point because I think so many times, like, kind of what you said, and it helps the therapist, like, know where to go from there. So he's not totally off their area or tangent that doesn't even relate to the family, but he thinks it relates. So it kind of helps guide the therapy session in the right direction.
I like that he had them move around. I think it was a little hard on the young girl, but having them sit close together, sitting together, so that there's more of a connection there. I think was important to have that physical space and connecting. Like I said, I think it was a little hard on that young teenage girl, but we can talk about that later. The risks there.
I thought it was interesting about one of the things that I recognized was how the parents really did not seem united. Like, I noticed that right off the bat, and they weren't even sitting together. And then when he had them sit together, I was like, okay, I wonder if one of them is going to touch each other, or, if they're going to act like they love each other. I was just like, man, like, maybe one of the issues the family's having is because the parents are not united.
I think so.
The whole time he was like, he didn't really seem to care, and the mom was the one who seemed to only be the one caring. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like, like, maybe that's why their son has some issues, And then I know when we read about in the text, it talked about seeking reconnection. And, I thought he did a good job of, like, he got the parents to try to reconnect. So they, said that they would go on a date. And he got the different people in the family to make goals to reconnect. Like, he had, he gave them assignments to do. And so I thought that was good. I'm not sure, if they actually did it, but he had them agree to it. So.
And that was the other thing I was thinking about, was the connection. Ann Walsh is talking about historically, he had them think back to what they did before that they found, fun in, or they kind of talked about it, what they used to do. They used to go camping, kind of have that base. Yeah. And you connect when you think of things in the past, he says, and then when you plan in the future. But yeah, I was a little worried about the parents. So I did see they held hands.
Yeah, they eventually did, and like he put his arm around her once or something. So it's like, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Oops.
I thought it was really telling when they came in and the order in which they sat. In that, oh my gosh, I forgot his name.
Jimmy.
Anyway,
Jimmy the son.
Jimmy, yeah, where Jimmy sat in the chair away from the family, and then the daughter's in between the parents.
Yeah, that was
in there. So it was like, it's us against him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he was isolating himself or, that type of thing. And so with his rearranging of everybody. You've now got, the parents are together. Now they're holding hands. Now they're together. They understand that they actually care about each other. They love each other. And now you've got Jimmy's now hearing that his parents love him and care about him. And now he's got to sit next to his dad, who he might identify more with. And so there's a connection there. And, I kind of felt bad that, the daughter got kind of pushed to the side. But the couch wasn't that big, but it... But in a way, she wasn't the focus. She's definitely part of the solution, but she wasn't the focus at that point. But I just thought it was very telling the way that they came in, and he separated himself from them. So, yeah, all that kind of crazy stuff. Welcome, Danielle.
Oh, thank you. Sorry it took me so long to get on here.
That's okay. We're glad you joined us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So we all just sort of talk and yeah. There you go. I forgot. Who said they were in charge? Because I didn't have the pictures on. Oh, Stephanie's our boss tonight. Okay.
All right. Does anyone have any more points that they liked from the text or anything that they saw?
Let's see.
I thought of one, let's see, the identifying, affirming, and building family strengths. They kind of, the video wouldn't pull up for me, so I only got to read the transcript. But I noticed in some of them that the therapist went back and tried to identify strengths that they used to have, and then he mentioned trying to build on those again. Things like the brother and sister being able to hang out or being able to talk, and things like, and the parents also going on date nights, being able to build on those positive things that they used to do so that they could bring those back into their family. And that is, I think, a really important one, so because they had a big change of moving, and that seemed to kind of throw everybody off what they used to do maybe, and so that kind of, I think, was something to connect it with.
You know, and that kind of leads into where Walsh talks about, if I can say this right, depathologizing, where I felt like the therapist was saying, oh, in so many words, that's normal, you know, I had those feelings too, or, you know, it's making it so that they aren't feeling like they are, you know, so imbalanced and out of it, that there are some normal stressors within the issues. Does that make sense? You know, it's where Walsh talks about reframing and relabeling. It says problems can be depathologized when viewed as normative, expectable transitional stresses, and that's, you know, with the son transitioning from high school post to their moving. I think the therapist did a good job in making him feel, you know, some of these things would make any family feel kind of stressed, and, you know, some normal responses, wanting to withdraw if you don't feel loved and so forth. I don't know, I kind of felt that too.
So that your point went right along with what I was going to say, because one of the points that I wrote down was how in the text it talked about normalizing, and so I liked how the therapist shared how like they were normal, and how, you know, families experience feelings just like other families. Like the example he used, or one of them, was about how, you know, in general women are more vocal, like the mother was more vocal, and then how the men are usually more quiet and retract, and that's how the boys in the family act. So he was like, you know, even though, you know, it might be annoying, you know, it is normal, and that's how most families are. So, you know, it's not out of the ordinary. So he did make them, I think that helped the daughter and the mother feel a little bit less crazy, because I feel like the men in the house were kind of like, you know, she yells all the time, and she's, you know, more vocalizing. So I thought he did a good job doing that.
I know what the men were thinking. They were thinking that the women are overreacting.
Yes.
That's what I can hear the men saying. You're overreacting.
Okay, I have my husband tell me that too. It's like, it's not that big a deal. It's like, no, it is. Okay. One of the other things that I had written down in the notes that I actually had was about helping families live with uncertainty. And one of the things that Walsh said that exploring spiritual beliefs and practices should become part of all efforts to help families overcome adversity. And, you know, it didn't matter what the spiritual belief was, or if it's organized religion. And I saw he tried to draw that in, because, I mean, you could tell looking around his office, he's obviously LDS, and this family, you know, didn't have that. But he pulled in that, you know, he believed that all parents get help from beyond by, you know, talking together and working together, and that they have help that way. So he was trying to pull in that spiritual belief for them, that they could use that as parents. So I thought that was kind of interesting, the way he pulled that in, even though there wasn't that mutual faith, but he was trying to pull in some faith for them on that. I just see lots of heads bobbing.
I really liked about the therapist was when he was talking, he would try to interpret what everyone said, but also when the dad said something about how he was worried about Jimmy, and he was worried about Jimmy, what Jimmy was doing, and then the therapist turned to Jimmy. He's like, "Oh, well, what do you think about this?" And he's like, "Well, you know, my dad just thinks I'm a screw up." And he stopped him, and he's just like, "Did your dad say you were a screw up? You know, did he feel that way? Is that how he feels?" And the dad was like, no, I don't feel that way. And so he was very good at like not letting people dramatize things or let people put words in each other's mouth. He was like, this is what your dad said. Don't interpret it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Let's see.
Well, and with this family, it sounds like they didn't do a lot of talking. They mostly were just yelling. And so when they're in that kind of situation, I don't think that, the son obviously is something like everyone's ganging up on me, everyone just hates me, I'll just leave. And so like the mom and dad said, they're not themselves when they've already been worried for several hours about this boy, and now they're going to be overreacting automatically. And so obviously everyone's not going to be actually saying, I'm not saying I don't like you, I'm just saying, we're worried about you, we need to know where you are, kind of thing, and obviously it just came out as, where have you been? I can't believe you would do this to me, because that's exactly what I would do. So. But, that yelling, emotional stuff comes out way before, before you can talk and everything, and they didn't seem like they could ever just sit down and talk with each other, and that was why they had to come, obviously, to the therapist to do that.
Yeah,
Did you guys find there's one section in Walsh's called the crediting positive intentions, where it says that someone's actions might be ineffective or hurtful, but what you try to do is you affirm their intentions. So even though the mother might be yelling and upset, he's affirming her intention of wanting to love and protect or to help her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was towards the end of that Walsh's article, but I'm like, oh yeah, now I see all that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read it after the fact. I watched it first, and I actually read it after I watched the video.
That's
Yeah, I did
exactly
too.
what I did too.
Yeah, I'm like,
well, and he did that also with Mallory, in that she was being the snitch or tattletale or
Yeah.
telling the parents he's hanging out with these people and they drink and they do drugs and he's at this party, and so he affirmed that while she was telling these things, she was doing it because she loved him, because she was worried about him, and so affirming that the reason that these things were happening, not because she was trying to get him in trouble and get everybody upset. And so I thought that falls right in there, that he was guy, whatever you just said, my mouth.
yeah, I know.
brain just
Affirming
went out.
your intention.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you.
intention. Their
Maybe I should
intentions were
shut up.
good. Just the way they handled it wasn't as effective. I mean, he didn't say exactly that, but I thought that was a good way to make them, okay, that's right, my mom just loves me, or my dad just loves me, it's not just yelling and they don't like me and they're tired of me or something. But I thought that was an effective tool.
Yeah, very effective. Or should we just say gotcha? Gotcha on that one. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Awesome. Do we have anybody else with points or anything that they found? There's a whole lot. I'm gonna go through all of them. Wow.
It was good. I really enjoyed watching that, and it's a lot to read, but I did get some good things out of it.
Or Meg, are you keeping up on all of this?
I am. It's a little. I need to raise it.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, I guess when I give you the URL, you can go back through and watch it and see if you've missed anything.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I definitely can.
Yeah, since we're
Very good.
broadcasting, you'll be good on that one.
Oh, I finally found the spot I was talking about earlier, and that was building empathetic connections with and between family members. So it's helping family members gain a greater compassion for one another through asking them to share their life stories, the traumatic experiences and pain they have suffered, or resilience and so forth. So, I mean, he did that. They may not have had any huge amount of information or traumatic things, but he did seem to draw that out so that they could empathize with each other. The father, especially, not having that closeness with his father.
I also like the one that's adopting a positive future-oriented focus. He did talk, a lot about how to move on from where they were at, obviously making a more positive direction, and that one's the clicks in well with that as well.
Yeah, I've
Let's
got to.
see. Anyone else? Did you have a point, Lisa?
No, I was just going to say it was. I thought he did a great job of not being drawn into their drama.
Yeah.
Because there's part of me, as a parent, I want to go, hello, college, do this, do that,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, he has to let them work out their issues. I like the way he said that. You guys are the expert on your family. You know your family. He goes, I won't ever know you guys that way. So you guys need to do this, or you need to tell me, or you need to tell each other, and so I thought that was good, because there is part of me that wanted to come in and slap him, go, hello, do this, or it's obvious you guys are doing this. I think that's really hard, as a therapist or somebody, to sit back and let them be able to identify what it is that the issues are, or how to fix it, or those type of things. So I thought he did a great job of that.
Yeah, the therapist doesn't fix. It's like they're a facilitator, and the family fixes themselves. That's what I kind of feel like he's doing. He just gives them tools, and they fix themselves. But I like when, as I don't know who it was it Stephanie that was just talking about adopting a positive future-oriented focus? Because it says here that it's working with families like this is shifting the emphasis from therapy from what went wrong to what can be done for enhanced functioning and well-being. I thought that's perfect. It's not dwelling on what went wrong. It's what can we do to enhance it and make it better and prepare for future issues or challenges.
Okay, do we just say amen and carry on and go from there?
Yeah.
That was good. Okay. What do you find?
I'm just looking through my thing here. I highlighted about everything that when I read through it. But
is there another bullet point, Stephanie, or she's looking serious?
Yeah.
Oh, she left us. Uh-oh, she left us.
Oh.
Stephanie, where'd you go? We losted you.
Wonder if she's trying to do something and I can disconnect.
Yeah, that happens. Okay, so let's see.
Well, there are some other bulletin. Do the following
Yeah.
during the discussion. Talk
Okay.
about your observations. Was anyone surprised by the findings or observations? Discuss and record a treatment professional or paraprofessional, or how a treatment professional, paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. We're just kind of talking about that, actually. I mean,
I think we're kind of
yeah,
jumping all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just looking at them.
Yeah,
I think we've kind of, not the trends.
So
Well,
I don't. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I'm looking on the chat here, and it shows. I think it says Mallory. Someone said it,
Yeah.
the girl that said, hey, she couldn't make it. She said, if someone could maybe send me a quick email or even a text about what was discussed, let me know. Thanks, you guys rock. Technically, what do we say to that? Because we can't. She's not a part of our group. Like, she didn't show up. That's the whole point. So
Yeah.
Right. She'll have to talk to Sister Glorfield, I think, because you have to show up to get a grade.
Well,
right.
I think we should suggest that she find a group to join so she can get credit.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good idea.
It's always
in there. Send that to her.
it's always in the way you phrase it.
Exactly. I'm like, come on, get it out. No.
Because I would like her to get credit for attending and stuff, and yeah.
I don't know if there's other groups.
There are some other groups meeting later in the week.
Are they? Then hopefully she can get in that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that last one, it says that make a plan or whatever as a. I like the paraprofessional, the quasi-professional. You know, how would you get those things of resiliency into a group or therapy session? So, any ideas on how you guys would do that to introduce the resiliency um, into a counseling that you were having? Was that question clear as mud?
Is that basically how he would help? I mean, help the family learn to develop skills that would prepare them for future challenges?
Okay. It says how a paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors. So how would you how would you introduce those into you know, when you're, I just figured I'd pick up the last bullet point.
Thank you very much for that. No, it's, I mean, like if we were the therapists, what would we do to capitalize on this opportunity to help teach the family resiliency or to help them be more resilient? Is that kind of what it's saying?
I think it's kind of like how would we introduce these things to, I mean, even if you've got, like in my situation in my daycare, I have parents who come in and sometimes they'll just sit and chat. So how would I introduce these concepts to them or capitalize on the knowledge and the things I've learned to help them become more resilient? I guess that's kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if that's where, like the double ABCX model or something where the family can be part of finding out what works and what they're doing. I don't know how to
She's back. Welcome back, Stephanie.
Oh, that's a good.
Sorry.
There you are.
We're glad you're back.
All right. Did we move on or anything, or
to the last bullet point?
Last bullet? Okay. Keep going with whatever.
Well, we were trying to think of it.
We haven't come up with a lot yet here.
Okay.
Well, it's hard when you think about this as the first full therapy session that I've seen, and so to think, how would I present? How would I grasp an opportunity to teach them resiliency or to present some of the concepts in that, which I think that the therapist kind of did in pointing out maybe some of the strong, I'm trying to remember, and if he pointed out some of the good things that we're doing, their intentions were good, and I'm just trying to think that would be the only way I can think of is to people, in order to change, people need to know what they're doing that is not effective. Yeah, and so it would be a matter. Go ahead, because I'm like chatting now.
I think one of like the biggest issues that this family faces is just communication. Like they're not communicating with each other. They're not phone calls. I think a family council weekly would be a great idea to suggest this family, like, okay, sit down once a week, talk about your concerns, talk about, what everyone thinks that they need to work on, or, right. Non-attacking way. Just really actually talk and be honest with each other.
It's a good idea. Now, he didn't do it this time, did he? Because he just had the mother and father schedule a date and the brother and sister schedule a time together. Oh, and the father and the son.
The father and the son, yes. And he gave them the assignment to for the father to talk to his son about how he picked his career choice, so that then the son might have an idea on how to choose, what he's going to do. Is there something he's interested in? Should he go to school? Should he go to trade? How is he going to move on from this state of kind of no man's land? I think he's trying to give the father an idea of how to help his son and give his son ideas of how to move on. How do I go now? Because life is not scripted from, you graduate and then what do you do? And if they weren't a family that pushed college, then that may not be what he sees as an opportunity.
So the therapist to me started him on this learning to be resilient by just getting them to communicate. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I'm trying to see if it says.
That's Danielle.
Danielle? Oh, hi. I was going to say that's perfect, because that's part of being resilient is learning to communicate, and when you communicate, you are more apt to have empathy. So that is like a huge start. So that was a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. building the connections between them. Like how we went to the past and went to the future. I feel like all of these points we should just write. I don't know.
I know. No, well, they're just.
It's like this whole thing. Like let's just copy and paste. Anyways, but building the connections from before and like is it empathetic connections? What's it called?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, because they empathize when they tell their life story or something, or tell something about themselves, and then they start empathizing, thinking, "Oh, okay, now I understand why maybe they were extremely upset, or their childhood they had issues, or whatever." So I think that's what it was called. If I can find it. Empathetic.
I can't believe you can scroll through 40 pages like that and find things that
I have them highlighted in yellow.
Ah.
So that as I scroll, building empathetic connections with and between family members.
Okay.
That one's on page 149.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, thanks. Oops.
Hello, puppy.
Well, yeah, this is my Reggie.
Oh yeah, I grabbed it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think a big one would be reframing and relabeling too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think, if I'm talking to like one of my daycare parents, that I might ask more, ask questions, like he did. How do you see it? What do you picture coming up from this? What do you want to have happen from this? What do you have to, are there people who can help you? What resources, what education do you have to help in this situation? Whatever it may be. But I think by asking questions so that they can go through and actually evaluate themselves what resources that they have to help in whatever crisis that they have would be a way of helping them with resiliency, so that should a crisis come up again, they go, oh, you know what, I remember I had this and this, or I could do that, or I hadn't thought of that, as being something that could help. So I think by asking questions and letting them think through, I think that introduces resiliency that they may not have been aware that they had, resources that they didn't know that they had. And trying to stay optimistic. I'm always trying to find the silver lining in a mess, and I think trying to help them find their silver lining, of what they can capitalize on, or what good thing could come out of a situation. Anyway, that's where I think I might go to try and help them with resiliency, or introduce it to them.
The 2 points that I wrote down was that the therapist did was he focused on the potential, and then he had an optimistic view. So that kind of goes with what you were saying, incorporating those when you're trying to help someone else, trying to help them be optimistic and being optimistic yourself.
Yeah.
As you speak with them, and then focusing on the potential of the situation. It can get better. Let's talk about maybe why it's not, just breaking it down.
Yeah.
And he used sense of humor, bad jokes, or picturing Dad on the skateboard, pushing him down the ramp. That was that was humorous. He's trying to pull the son out, and using humor, things that they could find funny. I think that's helpful, because to me, laughter is healing. It's got a very healing power to it, and so if you can get the family laughing together, I think that's really helpful too.
Well, it kind of breaks down the walls, and so it kind of gets a different mood in the room where it might seem stuffy and tight, and where he kind of laughed and smiled, and I felt like I can't think of the right word, disarm them, or not. Disarm may not be that. Anyway, they were a little more relaxed, I guess. The atmosphere was a little more relaxed than a stuffy, what they might think.
Yeah. And it's okay to label yourself a dork, too.
Yeah.
Like you did.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about me.
Oh, no.
Because I posted the wrong one.
I would have had no idea that you posted the wrong one until you tattled on yourself.
Gosh, well, it's obvious, so whatever. Anyway.
Well, see, I'm not in a group with you, so I wouldn't know that.
That's right. Oh. But he was good at that. The only thing, I wish he'd stop saying gotcha. gotcha. Don't say gotcha again. But he was really good. He was a nice guy. You know, I felt like.
I'm glad that that bothered somebody else because I've noticed my son who, married now living in Kansas, he's picked that up now and he's always going, oh, gotcha, and I'm like, stop that, I don't like that. Then when he kept doing that, I'm like, oh, I would have a hard time sitting and listening to him if he kept saying that and I was in that therapy session. But that's my own personal.
Oh yeah.
So.
And we're looking at it with eyes like from afar, like we're being critical eyes nonetheless. Anyway, the poor guy, but that was nice of the family to be let do that.
Okay. I know for like the family, them coming in too, it's got to be really awkward. Because I'm sure the husband didn't want to be there. The son didn't want to be there because he knew that he was going to be. He probably felt he was going to be attacked.
Like intervention, that drug intervention. Shelby's
they're making me come to this. I hate this. I don't want to do this.
I think the therapist did a good job.
I think he did a great job of making them feel comfortable by being, wanting to know things about each one of them, but then at the end asking them what they were going to take away from the situation. Was this as bad as you thought it was going to be, and what are you going to take away from this? Did you learn from this? I thought he did a good job of pulling that out and kind of making them accountable for participating.
And they made it where it's not Jimmy's problem. It's a family problem. And everyone has their unique contribution to it. And so it's not like intervention where someone comes in and it's all about Jimmy and all these issues and what he needs to change. It's about how can we as a family change how we interact and support each other. And thereby it just initiates a change in actually all of them, including Jimmy. I mean, it can, ideally. That would be.
Yeah. Ideally, Jimmy feels like he's left and like he can come home and not have to run away. And especially if things with his friends get uncomfortable for him, he feels like it's safe to go home.
Right.
Where at this point he may not have felt that way because he knew he was going to get attacked when he came in the door. Yeah. So, by making it a family issue of, okay, how are you going not to yell at him? And maybe he can, let you know more where he's going to be, or maybe he can introduce his friends. I mean, they didn't tell him that. I think he was leading towards, come on, Jimmy, what can you do to help your family be a little more okay with this? And I don't think Jimmy wanted to do those things, but, trying to give him the opportunity to come up with ideas to help his family be a little more okay with what was going on, but give him his freedom as well.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody else chime in. Big Mouth, you're talking too much.
I'm just looking over this real quick, and then I'll actually share on here, because it says on the thing that we need to take the last 15 minutes to all look at it together and revise it. So I'm just looking over it real quick to make sure I don't have any misspellings or make sure everything flows. And then...
Sorry. Sneaking dinner in here, sorry. If I'm chewing in your ear. Is your room yellow, Teresa?
Yeah, it is. I'm just thinking. Oh yeah, it's kind of a buttercream yellow. This used to be the room my parents stayed in before they went to assisted living, and yellow was kind of a light. Buttercream was kind of uplifting for her, my mom and dad.
Oh, I have a room downstairs that started out as my craft room, and the walls are bright yellow. It actually, if the sun comes in the room, it glows into the hallway. And so it's yellow with white trim, and I love that room. It just makes me happy. So
yellow is a great color for being cheery, feeling good.
Yeah, my kids hate the room. They think it's
really?
Awful. Oh yeah, don't make me stay in the yellow room. I hate it. And I'm thinking, I love that room. It just makes me happy being in there.
Yeah, my downstairs is more of a modern gold color. I mean, I can't say gold doesn't sound right, but I just like that. glow.
They won't let me get away with it for the whole house. Yeah, the room I'm in right now, it's got one wall. It's got like a mural on it that it's like fall colors. I was like, okay, that makes me happy too. It's got the yellows and golds and oranges. And
You like those warm colors. That's me.
I do.
I like the sunset and the golden sunset here in Moses Lake, Washington. There's like beautiful sunsets because there's no close by mountains, and you get the best colors. It's like known for its sunsets.
Okay, Moses Lake, Washington. Where is that?
Central Washington. It's in
okay.
between Seattle and Spokane, Washington. Spokane is over by the Idaho border, so you meet in the middle and go down south a little bit, and it's there. It's farming community.
Beautiful. Sounds absolutely wonderful.
Okay, so I have it screen shared for you guys, and we could read it together. Maybe I'll read it, or someone else could read it so that we can hear any like mistakes, because sometimes that helps, like reading it out loud.
Okay.
It's more in like a bullet point format, so some of it might seem a little choppy, if that makes sense. But I think that'll be okay, because he just said to take notes on it. So.
Oh, that's great. That looks awesome.
Okay, so I did the first part in bold, and it just says take turns talking about the points you identified, both the overt references and the more subtle ones. And then, so my first bullet point says he used several normalizing family distress and relabeling and reframing the relationships. He used some of the principles from the reading in this interview. I think that sounds a little funny, but I think that was kind of an introduction to it all. I think I was just so focused on typing I wasn't even. Anyways, okay. Second bullet point. The example of when a family member does something and family crises with the Nazi story. The therapist brought up some similar things that helped the family members understand each other. Like what was it like with your father? And it's not that they don't love you or love me anymore. Yeah. So do you guys want to revise anything on that? Should I take out that first bullet point?
The only thing in the first bullet point, I thought you might use several sorry.
What is that?
That's my phone ringing. It's probably my dad calling, and I'm ignoring him. Okay.
The train.
It's supposed to be a harmonica. Okay.
The harmonica, that's what it is.
Yes. He's used several normalizing family distress. You might want to say methods or points there, and relabeling and there. That makes it makes sense.
More sense. Awesome. Okay. And then I'll put Nazi story, so it's not just Nazi thrown in there.
Yeah. No swastikas in there.
Okay. And then third bullet point, use respectful language and constructs. The therapist acknowledged each person in the room and tried to relate to each person in the room. He rephrased what they said so it would let them know he was listening. Also helped the other family members understand what was being said. And then oftentimes when we hear a family member we are annoyed at say something, we often brush it off. However, when a therapist says it, there's something more to it. It helps the other members of the family understand it. As well, the rephrasing also helps the patient know exactly what they said in case they said it in a weird way, and then it helps guide the therapy session in an appropriate way. Does that all sound good?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds great.
Ooh, okay. Connection and reconnection. Parents didn't seem united at all. They sat at opposite sides of the room, and there was no touching or caring from the dad, and lots of caring from the mother. In the text, it talks about reconnection, and the therapist does a good job at trying to get them reconnected by trying to go on dates together. In the text, it talks about how what they did at the beginning. In the text, it talks about what. Do you know how to rephrase that? That sounds funky.
The text, it talks about the activities they did before. I was going to say, it talks about the activities, or in the text it doesn't. It's the video, you mean.
The video, yeah.
Yeah. The therapist has them talk about what they did as a family.
In the video.
before they moved. What did they do as a family? Just trying to think of words.
Going camping. Okay, so I rephrased it. In the video, it talks about the activities they did at the beginning, like going camping. So you can have, so you can have that in the past, so you can plan in the future.
What do? Oh, so you can use. Are you saying so you can use the past to help you plan the future? So you can use the past positive experience to help you plan, set goals. Okay, got you.
So you can plan in the future. Okay. And then I put Jimmy didn't sit with anyone. Jimmy was against them. Maybe he felt disconnected with everyone. So the relocation of everyone really made a difference and had a lot of reconnection success. And then therapist reorganizes everyone to shift the connections in the room. Pretty much reiterating it. Does that all sound good to everyone, or should I rephrase something?
Looking good so far to me.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Woo, okay. Identifying, affirming, and building family strengths. The therapist tried to identify their strengths and tried to build upon them. With the children, he tried finding things they used to do so they could bring those things back into their family. And then we have the
depathologizing,
and contextualizing the problem situation.
$10 words, anybody?
I don't use that word very often.
Normalizing. The therapist shared how they were normal and how they were experiencing things other families have been through. This is how most families are, and it is not out of the ordinary. And help the mother and daughter feel less crazy. And then within that, I put men feel that the women are overreacting. Should I keep that? I wasn't sure.
I don't know if they felt that in there. I mean, it probably doesn't matter whether you keep it or not, but it doesn't have to be there.
Okay, I'll take it off then.
That was our side statement.
I know. I wasn't sure because I just kept typing and typing and
No,
typing.
you're good. No, you're doing great. You're kidding.
Okay. Helping families live with uncertainty. Sharing spiritual beliefs and practices will help families overcome adversity. The therapist pulled in that all parents get help from beyond by working together and talking together. He was trying to pull that in to help them, even though they didn't have mutual faith. And then crediting positive intentions. Even though the mother may be upset, crediting all of her hard work and everything she is doing. And then with Mallory, the therapist, let me see. Sorry. A tattletale, and he affirmed that she was doing these things because she loved her brother and wanted better for him. And then building empathetic with and between family members. Helping family members gain great connections by sharing stories, and did seem the therapist did. Ooh. I'm like, what did I write? Therapist.
How about the therapist was successful in doing this by getting the father to talk about his relationship with his father.
Talking. Oh gosh, therapist was successful. What happened with? Okay. Adopting a future focus, how to move on from where they were at to a more positive direction. And then the therapist did a good job at not being brought into their drama. He let them work out all of their problems. And you
might want to take all out of there to work out.
Maybe to work through.
How about to work on some of their problems?
On or through some of their problems.
Their fathers.
Okay. When it says building empathetic, maybe it makes more sense to say building empathy.
Yes, I kind of thought that was funny. Okay.
That's perfect.
There you go. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Woo. Let me see. The therapist did a good job. The therapist gives them tools, and they can use those tools to fix what is going on together. And then this is another bullet point. Note the trends of your findings as a group. Did everyone identify the same points, or were there points that were not that not everyone caught? I said everyone pretty much did identify the same points. The conversation was really smooth and went from point to point, and everyone had the same notes and had more to add to each other. Because it's not like anyone had like contradicting points. Like we all kind of, built upon each other's. And then the next bullet point is talk about your observations. Was anyone surprised by the findings or observations? None of us were super surprised at any of the findings or observations that were made. We all had the same points. There was definitely build-up on points. Does that all sound...
Might want to get rid of the word was.
There, right here.
Yeah, I think it should be none of us instead of none of was.
Thank you, us for okay. That's why there was that green line. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why is that there? Discuss and record how a treatment professional or paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. And then I just put the bullet points, pointing out some of the good intentions that were happening, teaching them to communicate, building empathetic connections between them, reframing and relabeling, ask questions, therapists focused on the potential and had an optimistic view, and being optimistic. Yeah. On the potential of the situation, and then sense of humor, bad jokes, and then pushing down the ramp. Should I keep that pushing Dad down the ramp? Because I don't know if we're still talking about the video or not.
You could put sense of humor. What is on that back one?
Yeah, let's get rid of Dad down the ramp.
Push your Dad down the ramp. Okay.
Let's cause humor to Dad.
I just think using sense of humor is good.
Okay. Does that look good to everyone?
The themselves should be themselves. Should be SELVES.
Where is that?
Under therapists focused on potential.
On themselves focusing. Okay.
Okay.
So does it look like I can submit it? Do you guys all approve?
Are all of our names on there?
Let me do that real quick. What is this assignment called again? Do you guys remember?
I put
case study number 4, analysis.
That's what I put. Case analysis number 4.
Okay. And then
I don't know that we had a group number this time, so probably just our names under that.
Can I get everyone's names real quick? I know, it's bad, isn't it?
No?
No.
I know. There's stuff. Mary in our group this time, or is she in a different group?
Which one?
Mary? I think
Mary she joined a different group this time.
So there's Lisa and Teresa. Oh, that rhymes. That's fun.
And then Anna.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to put last names, because there might be some people have duplicate first names.
That's a good point. Danielle, what's your last name?
It's McGuffin. McGuffin.
I-N or A-N?
I-N.
Okay.
McGuffin with a G, not a B.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry, it's a weird one.
Is Stephanie's Willis?
Yeah, it's Willis. W-I, yeah, there you go.
And then Lisa, what's your last name?
Gonzalez with Z's.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay, and Teresa, what's your last name?
Meredith-Palmer. I need to get my name fixed at BYU. It's really just Palmer, but...
Oh, okay.
But she'll recognize me at that one.
And Anna, what's your last name?
It's HALASZ.
Oh, fun. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
It's Halas.
Halas.
So it's like the girl named Alice with an H.
Oh, that's a good way to.
So yeah, it's Hungarian. So that's why it's all weird looking.
That's all good. I had a family that was Hungarian and brought their son here, and it's always fun because I really had an Attila and a Laszlo, and like I don't know. I thought it was funny when they first introduced me to their 2-month-old little boy and called him Attila. I thought, are you kidding? Nope, they weren't kidding. But so in our house, instead of Attila the Hun, we had Attila the Hungarian. I thought it was great.
That is funny.
Awesome little kid. All good. All right.
Awesome. Well, I think, are we done?
I think so.
Awesome.
Okay.
Oh, well, that was a good discussion.
Yeah, this was great. It's nice
Okay,
to-
well, if we have to hang out again one more time, we got our group, right?
Yeah.
I think actually next week we do this again, don't we? Not
Do
because
we?
if we don't have the same group, but I think next week we have another discussion board or a discussion meeting.
Oh,
Well,
we
I
do?
certainly haven't looked that far ahead.
I know.
I'm actually going to be in Nevada, and I'm trying to figure out how to do my homework. So I guess I better take a look at
You
that.
take your phone and your hotspot.
Well, that's
As
true.
you
I
take,
can do it on my phone, huh?
or
Yeah.
you use your phone as a internet hotspot and take a laptop.
Yeah, and I have a tablet too.
There you
So
go.
I might, if I can't get my papers done, I'm going to have to take my tablet. I mean my computer anyway. But yeah, selecting group members for case study 5. I think it's in. It's not next week. It's the week
Oh,
after
Week
that.
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
okay,
week.
that one.
Or
Hey,
week.
but we do choose our group next week, so
Well,
get
we
our
all know,
names in there.
where to sign up. Okay, do we want to close this with a prayer since we started with a prayer?
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody want to volunteer?
I can volunteer.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for many blessings that we've been given. Thank you that we could all meet as a group this week, and thank you that we were all able to take times out of our day to do this. Please bless all those who didn't make it, and please bless that we can have a good night. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
And,
guys. Thanks.
Did somebody